Hello, Foxfires. Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Welcome in. Kid Wolves, welcome in Yuzuki, welcome in Serene. Hello to, there's a lot of talking. Gigi, hello Marina, hello to Blaze, hello Tintando, hello Chance, hello Pepe, hello Sephi, hello Natsume-san. Thank you for the sub before 25 months. Welcome to the Demon Army. Chicken Rain. And the Chicken Rain, thank you. Chicken Rain incoming just because. Also, many month times flies. Indeed it does. Thank you so much, Natsume-san. We be yapping, that's fine. I enjoy the yaps. I'm part of the yapping problem as well. But welcome in. Today we are doing some art. I need to fix my face. I feel like I'm like stretched up. I don't know why. Here, let me recalibrate. I think it's because Pichu sat down at my PC because there were some problems. They broke my thing. Here we go. Reset, recalibrate. There we go. Now I'm better. Ta-da! I'm no longer like smushed at the bottom of the screen. Hello, Lolis. Welcome in. And Wolves, thank you for tier 3 salutes. Let's see our emote salutes. For Wolves, thank you. Demon General Subby for 28 months. Welcome to the Demon Army, Wolves. Thank you. But yes, hello. Yeah, there's the salutes. Get them in. I'm being attacked. Mercilessly. Welcome in the Foxfires. Today we are going to be continuing on doing some more art practice as usual. It came a little faster today because again we just had a lesson on Thursday and then now we have back to the lessons on Tuesday again, so we didn't have much time to study and practice the other lesson. But I'll go through, I'll kind of like talk about the body shapes and stuff like that. Again, hydrate, thank you, Grimo. I'll talk about the body shapes and stuff like that and the points, whatnot. We'll go through it again. And then we'll go through any user critiques as always. And then we'll finish up with the new lesson, which is just continuing on with body shapes, basically. I think it is titled the body in anime style, but I don't think it really goes over that much about anime style in it, so I don't know. It's just kind of like a part 2, I think, of the body proportions and stuff, and learning how to draw a body, so. Thank you for the hydration. Taste it. And then, yeah, so that's kind of what we have planned for today. Some other housekeeping things to get through. We have new emotes! Yay! We have new emotes courtesy of Blaze. So Blaze bought these for the community from my throne. Let me open them up on the screen so you guys can see them. We have basically, I know there's a boop one. There is a gift one. There it is. So there's a note-taking, a spray bottle, laughing or lol, a gift one, a boop, and an eating ramen one. Look at the giant boop. They look so good. So of course they are done 8x88 design. They have done pretty much all of my emotes because I love them so much. Oh, forgot something fishy. I did. Thank you. I will get that up. But yeah, they look so good, right? Looks so good. Meanwhile, me not touching the course this week because it's birthday week. Oh, it's your birthday week. Happy birthday, Serene. Happy birthday. Yeah, 88 is so good. Give out to someone that uses 88 as well. Yes, they do such good work. I love their emotes. They also get so much work. I'm so happy. I found them on VGen like really early on. And now I think they just recently hit over 3,000 reviews. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they have taken off like crazy, which makes me really happy because they deserve every bit of love. They do amazing stuff. So, wait, birthday is today. You know what that means. Are you ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Serene. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday! If it's anybody's birthday, I always sing happy birthday to them, so it's my rule. Happy birthday. Wait, where's confetti? We have confetti for birthday. Confetti! Oh wait, I have an animated one, don't I? Oh, it's not in. Oh no, it is. It is. There it is. 1 static and 2 confetti. Oh, they started on Fiverr last year and they've been popping off so much. Ah, that's awesome. Yeah, I found them through VGens, so that was when I found them. They do such amazing work. So these are our new emotes. And yeah, like I said, these came courtesy of Blaze. So Blaze bought a package of emotes from them off of my throne. And then Blaze got to pick which ones they wanted from their pack. So these were Blaze's custom picked emotes for the community. And I think they're a great set. We got like ramen for when we do food streams. You guys, it's kind of like poppies. You guys can eat. And then we also like laughing. We needed a laughing LiLi one for sure. I use laughing emotes constantly, so I'm happy to have one. And then the boop is like my favorite. It's just so cute. It's just a little boop. So yeah, that is the new thing that just happened. And then Camp Foxfire is coming. I'll put the graphic up again for the the schedule. So next week, we actually won't have our lessons, okay? So on Tuesday, we won't have art lessons, which honestly, hold on, let me put this down. Honestly, might be good. Because I think we're gonna need lots of time to practice these body proportions. Because I feel like Isham goes through these really quickly, and I'm gonna want some extra time. So I'm kind of happy that we won't have art classes for the next 2 weeks, because this is gonna give us lots of practice time for doing body proportions, which I think is like a very important step in learning for art. And I think it's good to get a lot of lessons and practice and stuff on it. So it might be good for us, but yes. So as you can see, next Tuesday, we will not have any art, but we will have some game streams that week. And then we're going to be starting our viewer camp, because we are at the end. Tomorrow is the last episodes for our free run watch party. And then we're going to have baking and then a charity stream next week. So yeah, that's kind of what Camp Foxfire is going to be looking at. I'm pretty sure that is next weekend, right? Maybe I should double check. Yes. Yeah, next week. So yeah, just keep that in mind that we won't have art streams for the next 2 weeks, actually. So it'll be the next 2 Saturdays, because we're going to be doing our Camp Foxfire event. So yeah, but like I said, we're still going to be working on practicing and studying. So I'm still going to be posting my work in progresses and stuff in the Discord. I'm still drawing. We just won't have a lesson. But like I said, I think it's going to be good, because we're going to need time on these lessons. So yeah. Yeah, oh, notes for the lessons. That's so fitting. That's very cute. I do like note-taking emotes. I'm tempted to actually see, because 88 Design does that notes one as an animated emote as well. So I'm tempted to go ask later to see if we can get a animated version of it later, because I do like it a lot. But yeah, it's very good. So just kind of, I guess, a review from last week. We did bodies, body proportions. So kind of finding out what sizes and points to put things at, basically, is what we did. Double the notes, exactly. Quick question for drawing pens. Yes, of course, Blaze. Sorry. Yes, if anybody ever has questions, feel free to ask at any point throughout the lesson, okay? I'm just going to be going and doing my thing. If you got questions, I am happy to answer. As always.
is there a good point to change out the tips? Mine still has good length to it, but it feels rough on the tablet. So for me, it totally depends on the user. I like never change out my nibs, but that's because I am a very light drawer. And then also when I changed my tablet settings, I think we talked about this on the first day a little bit. When I did my tablet settings, I actually made it so that like it was super sensitive to the touch so that I didn't have to push on the pen or the screen very much. And it made it so that I could use a very light touch because I always got worried about damaging the tablet by like pushing on the tablet so much. So it just depends on your preferences. I know sometimes because if you hold the pen in the same way, like because there's a button on the pen, if you hold it the same way and you're always drawing in the same direction, sometimes your nib will basically wear down a flat spot and it'll make it kind of like a sharp point or make it kind of feel rough or jagged or like you said, kind of scratch the screen or something like that and not feel as good. So that can be a good time just to swap out a nib and see if it feels better. They do also give you different types of nibs. I'm like trying to find where mine are. I think mine are over here. Let's see. Because they give you different types of nibs as well. I don't know where mine are. I don't know where mine are. I thought I knew where they were, but I'm wrong. But yeah, they do also give you different kinds of nibs too. Like some people prefer the felt tipped nibs. There's different like hardnesses of plastic and stuff too. But yeah, I did find that when I first had my tablet, I did wear through the nibs faster. Because the sensitivity, I had to push very hard on the tablet in order for it to register, essentially. So if you wanted to change that and save on nibs a little bit, if you just change the sensitivity of your tablet up a little bit, I don't know if it's up or down, basically just so that like you can see when you're like pushing on it, there should be like a pressure, like little bar thing, like one of these things that goes like up and down, you know what I mean? Like this part goes up and down based on pressure, right? So you want to make it so that like when you barely touch, it goes up a lot, right? If that makes sense. And that might help you conserve on nibs. But if you're not worried about it and you like the pressure sensitivity the way it is, then yeah, just buy new nibs. You can buy nibs like on Amazon and stuff like that and replace them more easily. I don't think I have ever replaced the nib in this pen. Like you're just making me realize. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't think I've ever replaced it. There is a tiny little flat spot on it, but for the most part, it's pretty good for me. I don't know how long I've had this tablet for either. When did the Pro tablets come out? Wacom Pro. When did that come out? 2018, apparently. So it's been from 2018 to 2024 and I've never changed a nib. So, about 7 years and I've never changed a nib. I could probably change it. Yeah, it has the button so you hold it the same way every time. Yep, and I'm kind of the same way too. I don't use the buttons a whole lot, but mine does have like a little bit of a wear spot. Yeah, you could definitely check the pressure sensitivity. Are you noticing a lot of scratching on your tablet then, Blaze? Also, hello, Yugen. Welcome in. You're guilty of that too, Serene. A couple of very faint, like scuff-looking lines. Yeah, then you could, if you're getting a couple of faint ones, then you maybe could bring the pressure up just a little bit so you don't have to push on the tablet as hard. I don't know, I find that I don't really want to, I try to keep my hand light when I'm drawing, only because if you're like death gripping that pencil and really like pushing into the paper and stuff like that, it's gonna be very hard on your muscles and ligaments in your hand and stuff like that. So as an artist, you don't really want that because that's gonna hinder your work life, basically. So I think it's better to keep a lighter hand if you can. I don't think it's a bad idea to have a little bit more sensitive just to try to save a hand and your tablet. But you also want to find what's comfortable for you too, and it's going to be different for everyone as well, right? So alright, so I'm just drawing my head out here, get my body started. Doesn't have to be perfect, because we're mostly just focused on the body proportions right now anyways, so just draw a quick face. Might have drawn their face a little wide, but that's okay. Everyone's a little different, right? Hello, Coloso Book. Welcome in. I naturally go hard on paper, and I was never able to stop. Yeah. So, in the kind of the same way, so the pressure sensitivity change for digital tablets is in the same way, kind of like changing pencil lead types for like a traditional pencil artist kind of thing. So like if you have a softer pencil, like, you know, like you always hear about the 2B pencil, right? So this is your lead type. So you can have like 2B or like an HB, I think, right? Pencil. Boy, I have not thought about traditional for a long time. I believe it's if you go HB pencil is balanced between clay and graphite and typically serves as your number 2 equivalent. But yeah, you can get like 4B and stuff. I believe if you go higher in the number, it's softer, right? Oh, okay, so HB is a little bit harder than a 2B, it looks like. Yeah, so you can go like H's gets harder in direction, and then if you go to B direction, so like you can get like a 4B or 7B, right? This gets softer in pencil lead, and then this gets harder. Right, so you would have like a line that's like very rigid versus like softer. You're gonna get more like that, right? And then this would be something in the middle. Pencil line, right? So like this is essentially you're pushing pressure the same amount, but this is only gonna get you like a really light thin line. This is your medium point, right? And then this is like your softer. So I'm doing that by doing different pen pressures, but basically changing your tablet sensitivity is like kind of in a way changing, you know, your pencil lead softness. just in a digital form. And then of course you can also like change pen types like over here, right? That would also give you like changing pencils and stuff like that. But yeah, there you go. There's a little bit of pencil 101 for on the traditional artist side. Where did my OBS go? There it is. I also need to figure out how to change the tips out. It's a little bit complicated. Oh no! Delete my thing. So it's always different now too. But basically to change like a Wacom, do you have a Wacom? Or did you get something different, Blaze? The tip will have like a little tool usually that grabs the nib and you just pull it straight out. Xpen. Okay, so I don't know Xpen at all. You'll have to like look at their instructions. But for Wacom, they'll give you like a special remover to pull it out with, or tool. And then basically you just push the new nib back in, and it's fine. But I'm not sure about Xpen because I've never had an Xpen. All right, so we've got our head drawn from last week. And then, yeah. Basically, we're just gonna start doing our landmarks. So I'm gonna draw kind of like the shoulders across. I'm just gonna go roughly, because again, doesn't need to be perfect. We're just drawing our rough shapes right now. So we're gonna draw a rib cage. Oh no, I don't know where I put the instruction. I bet if you just Google Xpen nib replacement, I'm sure somebody has a YouTube video for it. I'm sure of it. And then there's the waist, and I'm gonna add a hip. Leggy spots, and it needs to be a little bit longer. There we go. All right, and then I'm just gonna draw a line all the way down. Okay, so we have our pelvis, hip area. It's gonna take up that space, and our rib cage. It's gonna take up that head space. And then this is just like the spine area. And then the next landmark we're gonna do is the knees. So upper body is the first top portion, then legs is the second. Lower body is mostly all legs. Our knees are gonna be the halfway point, so 1.5. So I'm just gonna make a little mark where the knees go. Doesn't this workflow pivot to the 2-box system later? It does, it does. That's what we're going to be kind of talking about today, actually. That is going to be our lesson. So we're just like last week, it's just talking about where the proportions lie. And then today it'll kind of talk about a way to think of the shapes and simplify them. What is the 2-box system? You're gonna find out soon, close the book. You're gonna find out soon. And then yeah, so we do our legs. We can do sticks for the legs. And then a spot on the last line for your ankles. And then we make cylinders to connect. All right, so we have our cylinders. And then our feet. Just kind of like a rhombus diamond thing. At the bottom. So remember, feet go at the very bottom. I think I saw that a lot with yours, Blaze. Don't forget, the feet go down below the last headline. So the ankles are typically on that last line, right? So ankles on the last line, and then your knees are halfway between the upper and lower body, right? And then we'll have our shoulders. And then our elbows on the waist. And then wrists at the crotch, essentially. For the hand, again, just draw like a little mitten for now. And there you go. So there's basically our very rough body proportions that we kind of learned yesterday. Or yesterday, on Thursday. Very, very roughly, at least. Ta-da! There is a humanoid, essentially. There is our humanoid shape. And then again, like once you have like the basics down, you can go through and actually adjust things out and draw them more nicely. But that will kind of take place after we kind of learn better how to draw these parts and stuff too. So like, don't worry about that step kind of thing, I would say. Just drawing real quick. Just so we have kind of a catch up of what we did and learned last week. And is there anybody also that wants me to kind of look at their drawings at all from last week? Ta-da. Oh, I forgot to draw the hands. Finishing up one right now. I just need like a minute or two. No worries then. I will just draw up this. Yeah, so basically last Thursday, this is what we basically learned was just how big everything should be in relation to each other, which is just like the proportioning of things. So this is a 6-head high diagram, and then I believe anywhere like kind of 5 to 7 is generally the anime style. Or if you're wanting to get like chibis or SDs, usually it's 3 head or 2. 3 to 2 head is kind of a chibi, like a very, very small chibi. You can, I guess, like that's the brilliance of different styles. You can draw like the human body in whatever kind of proportion style you want. But yeah, this is just kind of like a general good rule of thumb or a guideline to follow. So this is just like a mature adult. And this would be chibi. And thank you for the hydration, GG. Yeah. So I didn't have any of the drawn because I didn't do my homework. I know, I'm terrible. I deserve a bonk. Didn't do my homework, but I have done these head practices in the past before, so I do kind of know. I've memorized these heads, heights, and stuff already. You did some homework. You were in a call earlier. That's true. But the call I was preparing for the next lesson. Not for my homework from last week. Technically, I just did my homework from last week right now with all of you by doing a review. Does that count? Does that count? I technically did it before the next lesson, so there's my homework. It's true. I wasn't being lazy. I was just very, very busy making Camp Foxfire merch and going on a train ride. I went on a train. I went on a choo-choo train. But like I said, I'm not too worried about it because like what that lesson was meant to achieve, I do have memorized already. So this is more for people that are just starting out. Like I said, don't worry about, for this like lesson, don't worry about trying to draw the body perfectly right now. I know Blaze, you've been feeling overwhelmed and stuff. Don't worry about like drawing a perfect and beautiful looking body right now. What we want to get down is just remembering where these landmarks are, you know, and memorizing like how it gets put together, how the human body is put together in relationship to the rest of it, kind of thing. Just a little. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Train ride and merch get the pass. The merch is looking so good too. I'm very, very excited to show you guys. I'll probably have it out tomorrow, possibly. We'll have to see. I'm hoping to get the merch teases out soon. Maybe Thursday. I'll have to see if I have one last thing to edit for the merch promos. So once I get that done, you guys will get to see the merchandise real soon. But yeah, so like I said, it's gonna be overwhelming. But again, in the same way that the head, remember, we were just like at the beginning when we started the head, we were just like doing this shape, like continual, right? And learning eyes go here, nose goes here, mouth goes here, halfway point, this to this distance, right, is like this to this kind of thing. This is 0.7 up kind of thing. We were just like finding where like our eye and our nose and mouth, and you know, like it may seem obvious for a head, like where the eyes go and where a nose and mouth goes. But that was our first lesson, was we're just like learning where things are supposed to go. And this is just the same thing, but a body is just, it's got a little more pieces and a little more parts to it is all it is, so. I can see my fingers being made of Play-Doh. Homework, all right, I see it, Blaze. This looks good. You're definitely improving, Blaze, and every body that I see you create here, you're improving so much. Like, look at your Thursday one compared to the one you just posted now. Huge difference. Huge difference. Do you mind if I show the difference? So this is Blaze's review. We're gonna go over. Like I said, anybody is welcome to submit their reviews in the channel. Go ahead. Yeah, here, let me show you. Good for you to see too, the difference. Right? So if we post this on here so that we can see it, right? Line up the guides. Look at the difference! Look at the huge difference. Like, you can't deny, Blaze, look at it. It hasn't even been a week, and look at the improvement you made. Huge. Huge, huge improvement. All right, so, the short one. Let's see. All right. So, for your landmarks here, Blaze, let's take a look. So again, first thing I would say is your guide's perfect. Your head's perfect, fills the space great. The first thing I noticed right off the bat is your calves right now. So your knees are in a good spot. You landmarked those knees right in the middle where they should go, so that's good. But your ankles are not on this bottom line. So that's the first thing I see. Remember, your ankles should be down here, right? So this should be coming down, right? Right all the way down to this line. Right? So that's the first thing I noticed. And then your foot is going to be just like a diamond again. If you're looking for kind of the foot shape. Get a little thinner here. Something like that. So that's the first thing I would notice. And then I would say, let's see. I'd say, so like, we can say the same thing for the wrists. Technically, I think the wrists are supposed to be down on this crotch line, but I find a lot of time, like with anime, they do tend to shrink up the arm length, and I don't know if that just ends up making the legs look longer and more anime appealing, but I do often notice, like, if I'd say, like, you're fine if it's like wrist down to crotch or if it's like palm hand at crotch. So I think this is fine. Then I would say everything else is looking pretty good. The torso, I would say come up a little higher for. The torso can fill in this whole area here. Right? So there's like your rib cage and then like your... So I don't remember how it was taught to me anymore, but you can kind of like, your neck is almost like the middle point between both of these. So it extends like a little bit up into the thing. And then you have your collarbone just a little bit down. And then it's like either the box method or the round method that we're gonna learn. Like if this was a box, you draw it like this, right? Or the round. But yeah, so when we're putting our shoulders, so I'd say like where you put your shoulders in this one is right where the kind of collarbone is gonna be. So your shoulder itself, or where your arm is gonna be, you're gonna make those circles up here. And I'd say don't be afraid to make your joints a little bit larger. I'd say your circles in general are on the little bit of a small side. Don't be afraid to like make them a little bit bigger, especially for like the knees, shoulders, elbows, wrists, and ankles. It's okay if they're a little bit on the smaller end, but those shoulders and knees and stuff can be a little bit bigger. So what that's gonna do now, because the shoulders are right on this kind of line, it's gonna make your arm a little bit bigger here. Ta-da, just like that. And then, yeah, you're looking pretty good otherwise. Crotch should be at just that bottom line. And I would just for like style wise, if we're trying to make like a female character, just like, don't be afraid to make the hips a little bit wider. And then connect the top of that hip point. So the highest point or the widest point will be at the halfway point of that this marker. So widest part, right? And that's where the top of the leg is going to connect and come down to your ankle. Like so. Or to your knee, sorry. And then that would come up like this. Ta-da! Ta-da! All the ta-das. Art ends up looking like silly doodles. Doodles are fun. But also, to draw doodles it's good to have even like anatomy structures and stuff like that, because it'll make your doodling faster and more accurate and like what they should look like. Yeah, I get what you mean. So this one has the sketching underneath, which is good for me to see, because the sketches is helping me show you where your landmarks should be. A tabby puller, call it a day. Triple X solid characters. But yeah, I think you're pretty solid, Blaze. I would say for these circles on the hip, you can make them a little bit longer and more oblong. And we'll kind of talk about that a little bit today too. But otherwise, yeah, your landmarks, I'd say the biggest thing is remember your ankles. So your ankles on the bottom line. You fixed the knees were good. And then a wider chest cavity, I guess. Or longer, or both. So it takes up this full space here, right? Oh, and then I think larger joints I said too, right? Cool. I think that's everything. Hopefully that helps you out, Blaze. Yeah. Remember your ankles. Yeah, so ankles, don't be afraid to, or ankles, chest a little bit taller. Actually, your first one had the chest actually not too bad. It was just this image. But yeah, you are getting there. I would say the biggest thing that I see in all of your images is just making sure that you have your calf and your thigh the same size. Which basically just means your feet are gonna go below this head height line. Yeah, so the hands, this is fine, I would say. Like I said, this is fine. You can, if you wanted to draw it more like accurate to like an actual human, I think its wrist goes to your crotch line. Like if you stand up right now, you can observe, but everybody's gonna have like a little bit of variancy. But yeah, like the hand should be, I guess, like this, right? But I've seen a lot of anime styles where they'll draw the arm width smaller. And I think that might be just to make the legs look longer, essentially. So it can be fine too. But if you want to get in the habit of drawing it, I guess, more like an anatomically correct, I believe it is wrists go to the crotch line, essentially. Also, Ikawu Raid! I'm dancing! Our camera's screens are a little bit broken right now. I'm supposed to have like cool motions and stuff, which I don't have right now because Pichu broke it. But it's for the sake of good things. Hello, Ikaru. How was your stream? You were playing some IDV. Of course you were. How was the IDV? Did you get lots of wins? I hope so. I hope so. And yes, Foxfires, be sure to give Hikaru some love. I know you already watch me play IDV Mondays, so definitely go check out Hikaru if you are a fan of some IDV. Hikaru is much better than me. He'll actually watch some good IDV plays. Also, Bun Bot IDV. Oh my god, Bon is so cute. I love Duck Bon because it's the B-Duck going on right now. Thank you for the follow and welcome to the Foxfires. Go. And also, Kaorian, I don't know if I said your name right, but thank you also for the follow and welcome to the Foxfires. Go. But yeah, welcome in. We're doing art lessons today. So I do a variety of streams. I play some IDV myself, but today is our art day. So we're just going through and doing some lessons. I just did a critique for Blaze here, one of our students in our course. And we're actually just about to start up our new lesson for today. Yes, thank you, Hikaru. And if you have to go and rest up, please do take care of yourself after streaming. Thank you for the raid and trusting me with your community. All right, Blaze, I'm gonna send this in the Discord for you so that you have a copy of it. I think I'll just take a screenshot. Because it's faster to do it this way. All right. I'll ping you with it as well, so that you have it. Hello, Hikaru! How are you doing? Did you get lots of wins? Were you playing community games today, or were you hunter games? Oh, lots of draws. I mean, draws is LP up, still a win. Draws count. Community games. Fun. I'm glad it was a good time. Survival games. I'm glad it was a good time. All right. Blaze critiques are done. Today is boxes, whatever that means, yes. We're gonna learn body proportions and kind of how we break the body down into more simple shapes for drawing. That's what our lesson is today. Gonna look, of course, Hikaru. Thank you so much. Also, Stone Tusks, thank you for the follow and welcome to the Foxfires. Go. Alrighty. So, that is it for critiques and review. We'll get into then today's lesson. So, Isham was kind of talking about how we break down human body into more simple shapes, and because like the human body is basically very complicated and intimidating if you're like just set out to just draw it, right? It's a lot. So we break, as artists, we tend to break up the human body into more simple shapes in the same way that like we did, our head practice, right? Where we break the head into like a circle and then halfway point, and then we do kind of like a triangle at the bottom, right? Instead of like drawing like the entire like head cavity, and then like the mandibles and making sure we get like the nostrils and the skull holes and, the mandible, like that's a lot more complicated to draw than just looking at it as a ball with a cone on the bottom, essentially, right? So in the same way that we break down the head into more simple shapes, we just translate that to the rest of the body as well. I even fail at making stickmans. Well, I believe it was Blaze too with this course was like, oh my gosh, these are advanced stickmen, and that's basically what art is. And that's why I say when people say I can only draw stickmen, I only draw stickmans. Okay, art is about drawing stickmans. And you just draw more advanced stickmans. But yeah, so I guess the more complicated, so I believe she talks about how and then we'll get to the point. But she talks about how like we kind of break things down generally into circles, you know, circles or balls or spheres, which often when it comes to the body gets used for joints or the head, I guess, right? Those are spheres. And then we also have cylinders. Drawing a very bad cylinder here. We'll have cylinders. Right? And cylinders are often drawn for, you know, your arms and legs. Right? And then the last simple shape that we often use are, of course, boxes. Rectangles, square cubes. And these guys will end up getting used for the chest and the pelvis. When it comes to breaking down the body. And then it can also be used like for foot too. They'll sometimes draw like the foot as more of like a box, you know? Like if you're breaking into simple shapes, you'll have a box with like a triangle, right? For your toes. And that'll often like get used for a foot too. But for now, we're just gonna be kind of like more talking about the more complicated pieces. I think cylinder also can be head as well too. But they're all kind of drawn a little bit differently. Oh, health check by Lunar. Thank you, I missed it. Lunar, thank you for the health check. I can see you here. Hope the stream's going well. Hope you and chat are doing well, and hope stretching and hydration is doing well or stuff. Thank you. I'll hydrate now. And give a little stretchy too. But yeah, so these are just like more simple shapes than drawing it, but it's sometimes like also really hard, especially when you're a beginner, to look at something like a human body and being able to break that shape down into more simple shapes. So kind of like what the lesson here goes into talking about is more like kind of the theory a little bit of like why we make certain points into certain shapes and stuff like that, and like how to translate that shape as like a, you know, rib cage or pelvis or something like that. And then she'll kind of go into more how to apply that to like a live model figure or something like that, right? So she talks about how we have like these skeletons here, right? And for the chest cavity, let's do it in like a red color, I guess, so that we can see what we're doing on top. I'm gonna get rid of, I'm just gonna look at this one right now. So we have like a rib cage here. And so what we end up doing is you're kind of like looking at the largest parts. And for that, on the rib cage, you're looking at like the largest parts because that's going to be like your bounding box. Essentially, you're drawing a bounding box where the majority of that piece like fits into, right? Like as if you were to be the best Amazon packer in the world and you're like, I need to make a box that this rib cage fits into perfectly, right? So like our widest points are at the side. And that's because we have, oh, here we go. I was like, why is all my pen? There we go. So we have our collarbone, right? So there's actually going to be, technically, this model was a little bit bad, but it was kind of hard to find pictures that were good. So there's actually going to be a collarbone that attaches here, right, onto your rib cage. And I'm just going to merge that to that. So there's going to be collarbones there, and your collarbones are attached to like your shoulder area essentially, right? So like your shoulders would be right here. But these collarbones are kind of like the outer edge for this point. So we would have a point here and a point here for like the tallest, and then you want to include the bottom of your chest, right? And then we're just going to draw basically a box around that area, right? Just like so. So you have like the ends of the collarbones and then the bottoms of the ribs, essentially. Also, Eunice, thank you for the follow and welcome to the Foxfires. Go. So we have our kind of bounding box, and this is like from the first person view, right? And then there's also you're gonna want to know like the center, right? Which is gonna be your sternum area, right? So this is the center of our box, which kind of helps us. And this is looking exactly like straight on perfectly. So imagine the box is like basically going into the page right now because we are looking at an exact front view of the body. Was this in the file you posted, or is this from something else? Oh, these are my own images. So she actually doesn't post her pictures for when she does this section, so I'm just kind of like doing my own to try to explain it to you guys with my own pictures. But yeah, she doesn't actually have these images in the course material, but I will post these for you guys. So right now we're basically just going through the kind of theory side of me explaining how you make these shapes and stuff like that. So yeah. Just draw the rest of the owl. Hello Dragonator, welcome in. Yeah, unless you screenshot everything. That's true. So we're kind of like needing to, again, kind of visualize the box in a way, right? So we have our, kind of draw it badly, but, right? So this is the side of the box, right? So this is front. And then this is side. So then, when we turn to the side, essentially, right, it's going to be kind of the same thing as, sorry, you're going to mark kind of like your bounding boxes, right? But if we're drawing the box more from the side and maybe like at an up angle, right, you're going to get more of this kind of shape, right, that your rib cage is setting into. And then we have like the front marker, and then this will be the side view, right? So that is here, right? And then we have the front is here, right? And then technically this top piece of the box is kind of into the page this way, right? So if we had seen these from a little bit up or down, right? The back of the box would be like here. So hopefully that kind of makes sense as to where those boxes are. So like, yeah, I liked this little graphic here that I found because I thought it showed it really, really well. Where you have your torso. So then you had this piece. As the front with the middle of the box, and then the bottom of the box shows on this one because the back is kind of angled backwards, right? So we're seeing a little bit of the very underside of that rib cage, and then the side on this one. There you go. So that is the box method. And we were talking earlier about how you can draw this as like the 2-box method. So again, we have like another box that gets made for the pelvis. But we'll kind of show the pelvis as well in a moment. And she also will talk about too how people will simplify the rib cage into kind of 2 different shapes as well. Hello, Stehan, welcome in. 5 a.m. here, but I want to say good morning, Miss LiLi. Going back to sleep now. Sweet dreams, Draginator. Thank you for the sweet good morning. Sweet dreams. So yeah, some artists will simplify the shape into a box, and then others will also simplify it into more of a rounded shape, right? So more of like a bean, where they'll have this middle section, and then maybe like a rounded point at the top, and then kind of like this side area, right? So if you were to draw the circle from the side, and again, I'm not going to be as good at this as she is. But you have like your circle for your neck, and then this area for like the side and the back. And I drew it more of like a high looking angle. So we have this, whoop, that is not green. This now is like my side piece, right? And then the orange for my front, which is kind of curving around like that with my sternum being there, and then it kind of gets hidden for the angle. And then this is like the back of the box, which I didn't even do a color for, right? We'll do this color. So we have it coming around like that. And then this would be your neck, right? Or the top, essentially, in the purple. Right? So some people will draw it as, yeah, like this egg shape to simplify it more. But I would say if you are just starting out, the box is very, very simple. You know, like these rounded bits can, once you get more curves and stuff involved, it can become more complicated. So if you're just starting out, starting with a box is a great way to start. And then once you get used to just drawing things as a box, maybe you can start rounding off some corners and making it maybe a little bit more like a realistically bounded box area kind of thing. But yeah, definitely just start with boxes for now. And then she does kind of like also the same explanation for the pelvis. I didn't look up a pelvis image, I forgot. Hold on, let me find one. Oh, here's a good one from the side. Oh, I did have that other image too, so I'll use this one for drawing example. And use this one. Where'd it go? This one. We'll kind of show the points a little better. So for the pelvis, you can also draw the pelvis as a box, and these are kind of more the points that we use for the bounding. I thought I came to the wrong lecture room for a second. You listening to the Korean in the background? So the pelvis, we take again like in the same way that the ribs, we took like the widest parts, right? To make that box. We do the same thing for the hip bones. So the widest parts for the hip bone is kind of like here and here. This is like the widest, and it's like kind of like coming out into the page, right? Which if you look at it like sideways, these 2 points, here I'll draw them different colors because that'll make it easier to see. One at the back, and then we make green at the front and at the front. So that is here and here, right? So does that kind of make sense when you look at it to the side? So then when you have your box, right, is kind of like filling in this area here, right? Or right here. So that's like the widest point of where your box should be. But of course, it still comes up like higher because there's this point, right? So your box also needs to encompass this, right? So that's your exact halfway kind of thing. So, but this ilum, is that what it's called? I don't remember the name of it for anatomy. I'm off to sleep, no worries. Well, sweet dreams to you. Good luck, Dr. Lillipup. All these skeletons. What is it called? Drawing pelvis anatomy names? Illa, it's like the Illa something. Kyle? No. Iliac crest. Iliac crest. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But this here is the iliac crest. Let me write it nicer. Is that this part here. Which is like the widest part of the pelvis. I heard a hydration. Now imagine a point somewhere in the box of your stomach. We can use the paint bucket tool to fill it with a nice blue color like water. Thank you, Turtle, for the hydration. Yeah, so that is the iliac crest. I'm not a doctor. I'm probably saying it wrong. I know some people also like to think of the pelvis as like a butterfly too. I hear that a lot. I don't know how to draw with that knowledge, but it might be something that you hear about. 'Cause there's like one butterfly, right? There's your butterfly wings. because it does have this kind of butterfly look to it for the pelvis. What do you do with the space in the middle of the rib cage and the pelvis? What do you do with the space in the middle of the rib cage and the pelvis? Oh, some people will draw it as a tube, I guess, like if you're really wanting to get in depth and just draw the spine. But because a lot of the time since we're drawing, you just connect these two boxes together, right? So like once you have the box drawn up here, right? And the box drawn down here, you just connect your boxes. Right? And then that becomes the human shape. Because yeah, we don't have to kind of worry too much about the middle sections. I am a doctor. I cannot confirm or deny. Are you actually a doctor, Kenless? Then you have two boxes connected with a box. Easy. And then, yeah, so the iliac crest. And then we have our box that I will draw in blue. So again, if we're drawing our boxes, right? It's not gonna look like much because again, we're drawing kind of at the front view. And then the side view, again, our box. But when it gets down to the more three-dimensional view, which I have this image for, because I think it's a very good image to show space representation. So we have, again, we'll use like a green for the front of that iliac crest and then a red for the back kind of thing. And then what we're going to end up having is kind of a box, right, where we're going to have the side of this pelvis shown a little bit. And the top really shown. So again, there's our box. That our pelvis sits in. So again, I'll show it with the purple. So again, we have like the top of the pelvis, top of the box, our sides, and then the front, which I believe I did in orange or blue. Oh, and sorry, the front, the middle point too. Run down this pubic bone right here is your middle point. I forgot to show that on the other one, but yeah, where they connect should be like the pubic bone, and your middle point will be down through there, and then this is the front, right, like that. So that's kind of our box and our two box method of using the and then this one's from behind essentially, but I won't bother drawing a box on that one again. But these are the kind of like where these shapes come from essentially. So like, I think lots of people will get maybe overwhelmed in anatomy, and maybe the anatomy, like it makes them want to give up because they think that it's too complicated, especially when you get like really in depth with like, you know, all those names like the iliac crest and stuff like that, and like drawing these exact shapes. And as an artist, if you learn this stuff and you do learn how to draw like this, it will improve like your overall drawing and abilities as an artist. But when we are just kind of starting out, it's better to like start small and simple and work on those things, I think, first before like delving into a like exact anatomical course, because I think you might end up getting overwhelmed very quickly. So basically, Isham just kind of like briefly explains like where this box system like comes from and the points of like why is the box this big and essentially like that. So this was just kind of like a little bit of a theory. So don't worry, we're not drawing these and you don't have to remember like the red points and blue points. I'm just explaining how those boxes are created and how you can visualize a pelvis, like a realistic looking pelvis, as a box essentially. So that's what this was for. But yes, so I will upload these. Let me just put them into some folders here, so then you guys have them too. Because who knows, it might be useful for some of you to look back on. If you have questions and stuff. So I will upload these later to... Perfect. To the Discord, so. I am a doctor of not being a doctor. What does that mean? Yeah, and then you have 2 boxes, and that's the 2-box method, essentially, is just, where was that really good image that we had, too? This one. This picture shows the 2 boxes really, really well. Because, yeah, again, then when you're finished drawing, like, you just essentially connect these 2 boxes together, and there's your upper torso. Easy. Just like that, it's done. Time to stop here. Had a good run. No, Blaze, you can do it. Also, Baby, what the heck? Thank you for the tier 3 Demon General. Get our salutes for our general out. And welcome to the Demon Army for 12 months. Congratulations on 1 year, baby. That's exciting. 1 year, 1 year. Don't be like me. I once tried drawing, but overwhelmed easily and escaped to classical music. That's a classic. Classic, stay hun. Hey, hi, baby. Yeah, salutes. Thank you, Puffin. Get those salutes out. And glad to be here. We're glad to have you for a year, baby. Happy to have you in the community. Despite all the prop throwing. And then, and in the same way that I guess the box method got simplified to this shape for the rounded, the pelvis equivalent of that is kind of drawing, where's my pelvises? There we are, that won't work. Is kind of like drawing a pair of underwear. A pair of like high-legged swim bottoms or underwear on the model. So it would be kind of like I'll draw it on this front piece. So kind of like, I got taught of it as a bucket, but underwear makes sense too, where you're gonna kind of have like the bottom of the underwear, and then you'll have like a high-legged underwear, right?
So you got kind of like this underwear shape, right? Comfy vibes! Can't talk about underwear here. It's artistic underwear, baby. We're fine. Artistic underwear, okay? I don't do that, never. He would never attack. But yeah. So that's kind of like another way to draw the pelvis, is thinking of undies. Something like that, essentially, right? This was the lesson that I learned more, but I didn't even learn it as like drawing a pair of underwear. I think the high-legged underwear comment really helped for me when Isham said that, because like I think this will help explain like when you connect into the leg a little bit more. But it comes up quite high on the pelvis, actually. So I liked their comment about like a high-legged pair of underwear a lot when they said that, because I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And I could visualize kind of like how the leg connect a little bit better on that. So yeah. Underwear of creativity. Where's the rest of his clothes? Sorry, I'll draw him a box t-shirt. There you go. He's got a box t-shirt now. He's clothed. Look at his midriff. Scandalous. But yeah, so that is kind of your rough guidelines for the box method, and like how to visualize the upper torso in boxes, because the kind of the arms and legs and stuff are much more, I think, easier for people to see them as like your arms are just tubes, right? Like you can pretty easily visualize an arm as a tube, or like your joints as spheres, because like you think of like a ball jointed doll or something, right? Same concept in 3D too. You make the torso whole and the leg holes, then go from there. Yeah, for sure. Oh, thank God. I'm sure he was really cold. Had no clothes. He was barren. Yeah, so I think then she goes into a real example more. Yeah, so her next step is she finds an image, and then kind of goes from there. And oh, I also forgot, she gave some really good resources. I put the links into our class course materials, but one of them was so she also explains that if you're going to be drawing anime a lot, a good way to kind of practice figure drawing as well is using actual like anime figurines. So she actually posted this website, which I really liked, and it's just a figure website, and this 3D section lets you pick a figurine and you can spin it around and look at it in 3D. So Isham says to like find a model that doesn't have like a lot of clothing or anything, which sounds really sus, I guess, but find something that maybe like might be like a bikini model or something like that, where it really just shows off the body proportions, rather than something that has like a lot of just clothing that is covering over that body, right? Because we're trying to draw the body, and that doesn't help when there's clothing covering said body. I could go for a rack of ribs right now.
drawing the rack of ribs. Yep. Hello, Kingsley. Yeah, it's a great pose reference. So I really enjoyed this link that they sent. They also sent another link, which is just using Pinterest. So it's just pictures of figurines on Pinterest. So there is that link as well. But yeah, so I'm gonna see if I can find a model that we can look at the shapes for. It's not too lewd. That we can use as a practice here. Oh, maybe this one could be good. Yeah, I think this one's pretty good. Let me get a screenshot of this figurine. And we can practice doing the, kind of breaking this body down into simpler shapes. Leave my ribs out of this. All right, so oh, actually, if you guys want to follow along, I'll post this picture in the Discord as well too. So if you want to draw this specific figure with me as practice, let me add that too. Into the Discord. There you go. Good example. Not too lewd. Meaning I can actually have it on Twitch. It's acceptable, it's Twitch safe. Maybe there's a little bit of underboob, maybe that's not so Twitch safe. But it's artistic. It was the best I could find, Twitch. Let me draw. All right. So yeah, Ilsham just kind of like takes a picture essentially, and then she draws over it to show kind of how they simplify this body into more simple shapes. And this is kind of like where you typically start drawing in your art process, is just like drawing something really, really broken down before you start kind of adding the details. In the same way that, remember when we drew the heads, we were like doing super quick breakdowns. And then we went through and, you know, started adding more details in the eyes and like stuff like that, and more refining those shapes and stuff like that afterwards. So this is, again, going to be your basic shape breakdown. So we're just drawing the first iteration, essentially. And then this method where you're kind of like drawing over top is really, really helpful, especially when you're first starting. I know a lot of people say like, you can't trace work and stuff like that. Tracing work is very important. The problem is people that claim traced artwork as their own. So this is a very, very good method for learning how to draw and learning your proportions and stuff like that. So again, this is really, really useful for beginners, but the problem comes when beginners or new people will trace work and then claim that work as their own kind of thing. So don't be afraid to trace it. Just use it as practice, you know, and just be transparent about what you are doing, essentially. Exactly. Tracing also helps with learning your pen sensitivity, too. Exactly, Serene. Exactly. Oh, and thank you, Gigi. Yes, if you want this image, it is in the Discord. All right. So Let's start by doing, I'm on a new layer. Let's start by finding the chest cavity, right? So we're finding those ribs. And again, if you want to do this as a box, remember you can still do this like as if it's a box, right? So this would be kind of like the same box shape, right? Maybe I should have started it as a box for you guys. I know Isham also just like jumps right into doing rounded because they are a very good artist, right? But let's start slow for the newer people, because I do want this to be, you know, accessible for everybody. So we're trying to visualize this box here, right? And the side of her body is right there. So the blue pen shows that box, right? There is our box. You can draw the back lines too if that helps some people. Oops. My box is a little disproportionate. Let me fix it. There we go. Not every art piece is a fighter hopping into the ring for a title match. Exactly! There's nothing wrong with doodling about a metaphorical gym with tracing as long as you can pull something from it. Exactly. Yeah, like not every piece of art that you have needs to be like a show-stopping award piece, right? A lot of art, I would say like 80% of it is just practicing. So 80% practice, 20% like finished masterpieces. There are many who trace, then move the traced reference to the side and try without tracing. Exactly. So Serene, we talked about that actually earlier on before I saw you in chat in our lessons, and it's called the blind method. And yeah, I use the blind method quite a bit. I had a video too that I posted in the Isham course. It's very, very handy for practicing and learning because it really reiterates those lines and helps you gain information from the tracing. So it's very, very good. I do recommend that a lot. Also, hello Fox, welcome in. I did my box in red. Is that fine? Absolutely, Blaze. Use whatever colors you need. My spam emote? Wait, like the ham? Like the canned ham? I have not seen it. But yeah, so there's the box for the chest cavity, and then let's do one for the hips as well. So this, we see more of the top of the hip. There you go. So there's our like kind of hip box. Actually, these are in two different perspectives. I think they're in two perspectives because she twists. Because this is the front here. Right? Front of the box. And then her spine, I think, pulls to... Oh, wait! Wait, maybe it doesn't. I think this is the front. Yeah. Sorry, I looked at it differently. So this is actually... And sometimes it could be hard to see that box too, right? Like it might not come to you or jump out right where you're looking. Might take you a while to figure out where that box is, like me. Again, it's okay to make mistakes. It's how we learn. I think my one side's a little bit smaller than the other two. There we go. And I don't even know if I have it exactly right, but that's how I see it right now. Hello, Clara, welcome in. Created an emote years ago, even though I'm not an artist. All it was a smiley face with Groucho Marx eyebrows. Groucho Marx? I don't even know who that is. And a mustache, and it was wiggling his eyebrows. Perfect. Took me like 4 hours to get it right just for the small motion. Art takes time. That is very true. But yeah, so there is our box. And you can connect the middle two boxes if you please. Right. Down the middle. Or down the back. So you kind of have like this. There's your center line, essentially, for the body, right? Which you can draw as a tube or whatever, but I think keeping things without curves, drawing the kind of middle line as a piece of paper in the middle or like a plane is a little bit simpler for people that might be just starting out. So yeah, there is our box. So if we take away our guidelines, right? There is our pelvis. And rib cage, right? For this specific character. And again, everybody's like the boxes and stuff are going to be different based on different body shapes too, right? So let me drop then the opacity for this square version. And then I'm going to continue drawing now just as the more rounded version. So again, it's like, again, we just keep breaking it down to make it simpler and simpler and adding more and more details, right? So this would be like drawing just the circle and the lines for our head with the boxes. And then now maybe I'm just like adding in like the hairlines and the eyes and the nose positions and stuff like that, right? Like I'm just gonna go in and round things out and make them a little bit closer. So here I'm just drawing the rib cage, right? So there's the front of the rib cage and the back of the rib cage. And then we have the center line, and then we have our circles for our arms. And then also, there's like the collarbone, right? And then that's going to feed into our neck of our character here as a cylinder. And then of course the head and stuff, but we don't need to worry about that right now. So this would be like center of the neck. And then we will have the hips. So we have the top of that underwear. Was a comedian? He was one of the three Marx Brothers. Oh, their movies are great, but they're dialogue driven. So don't see them with someone who talks over the movie. Gotcha. So again, here's this kind of bucket shape. The bottom of the pelvis. And then we're gonna have these leg spots. So I'm trying to keep the parts hidden as well. Trying to keep in mind that high underwear kind of a thought process here for me. And then the back of it is technically that way, I believe. There we go. So there is our two rounded out pieces inside of our square. And then again, it's mostly just about connecting the pieces down from there for the rest of the body. I'm going to draw it in a different color. Once we have those two pieces, kind of how it gets drawn is you're just kind of connecting those parts for the torso. So you can think of it more like this shape now. Now we have more of a torso. Boop, 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 boop. And all that's left then is to add in our limbs. So, go back to our black pen and we add in, should I do it black or maybe I'll do it blue again. So we're gonna do it on, because this is again like kind of our first layer. Make this a little thinner. Actually, let's remove them for now. So for our shoulders, we're gonna add in a circle and a circle, right? For either side of her arm. And then we're also going to do the same for her elbow. And oh, good job, LiLi, you picked a beach ball. But we know that her elbow should be at her waist, right? From our previous lesson, which means it's gonna be about here. Right? And then we're gonna do the same thing for the wrist. And the wrist, right? And a lot of people at this stage, again, trying to keep things simple. So if like cylinders, again, they get more complicated with cylinders. So people, when they're doing things like really simple, like the boxes and circles, they'll just connect the limbs with a line. So you're just making like a fancy stick figure at this point, right? So you're gonna find the middle and the middle and just connect each piece with a line at this point. So right in the middle of the circles, you're adding a line. Right. Keeping it as simple as we can. And then we're gonna do the same thing now for our knees. Draw two knobbly knees and two ankles. I always tend to draw my ankles and my wrists as a little bit more of a oblong circle, just because those are areas where the joints tend to be smaller and stuff like that. So I just draw them a little bit more oblong, but you don't have to. You can just keep them as a circle too. It will not matter. It's just personal preference. Okay. Oh, and then yes, we had our circle for our hips, right? Because there is a joint inside of those circles. So those ones are very, very oblong. You can almost think of it like a heart, or like, again, like the butterfly kind of look that people talk about in the hips. And then again, the middle of that circle, we're just going to connect to the middle of our knee. I may have drawn her knees a little bit too far down. Hold on. Looking at that now, the thing is very light, so I couldn't tell where the knees were at first. But I know it should be halfway point, so I'm just looking at the distance from here to here and the distance from here to here, right? It should be the same. You can even take your finger and just like physically measure on the screen too, like is this the same as this, right? So mine is, I just measured it. Again, from the middle point to the middle point of my knees, and the middle for the calves, and then or the thighs, and then the calves. We do the same. Ta-da! Just like that. And then for our hands and our feet, you just do kind of a triangle, diamond-esque shape. And same thing for the hands. We do kind of like a light bulb. I don't know how to describe that shape. Like a light bulb. This one's a little bit different. I'll just draw her hand down instead of in a beach ball. We'll just have it out to the side. Kind of thing. So there is our model. Draw in the head just so that you guys can see. Right. So there is our base skeleton with the two-box method that we were talking about earlier. Ta-da! So then again, we just take it up a step further. So instead of now thinking of our joints as lines, we go into more of those curves and we think of them as cylinders or like tubes, right? So now we're gonna have a circular ball joint, right? Ball joint. And then now we're just going to be imagining that ball joint. You're thinking like a ball jointed doll, right? We're just gonna have that ball joint connected to each socket with a cylinder. This one's a little more complicated because of the pose that I picked. My apologies, wasn't thinking things through. But this is gonna like kind of come over top of this other ball joint, right? So this is kind of like the inside of the tube here, right? Back of the tube. And a little wrist. Again, the inside of the tube. And then our hand. Just think of it. I often get told to think of it like a mitten. So you kind of have like your thumb as like a diamond shape. And then I guess she has her peace sign fingers. Which are just two more tubes. Two tiny tubes for the fingers. So again, it's just about breaking things down into simpler shapes. The other shoulder joint. Again, we're gonna draw a tube for this arm. Again, like the tube would connect up here, right? Draw another joint. Inside. And, oops, I didn't connect. Oh, right, because I have that layer in pink. There we go. And then same idea. We're going to connect. Oh, she does talk about too, that a lot of beginners also forget to add the butt area. So that's also that kind of, this section here is kind of like where the butt is. And like sometimes you'll get this like little, I think I talked about it last time, you get like this little indent here between the hip and the leg. So she says to like kind of, don't forget to draw it like separately almost, like as a different chunk. So there's like this little area in here. She's like, don't forget about this little butt. Chub area in the thigh. And then your cylinder of a leg. And the cylinder does taper more like a cone here, I guess, right? You have your knee. And foot. And then the same thing here. Thicker upper thigh. Knee. Again, you're basically just drawing a ball-jointed doll. Here's the toes. Ta-da! Just like that. So that's kind of an example of breaking down a body form into more simple shapes. Top of the head, just so we have it. Okay, and the belly button's somewhere there. So, here is another, I didn't draw the nose or the mouth, whoops. There are all your kind of different steps. So I'm actually gonna take this and we're gonna make everything together, right, to show it, and then I'll break it into some extra layers here just to see the process a little better. So here's our first kind of like rough. And then we had the other layers. To break down, even simplified more. And then again, you would just break down this process again and add even more details and stuff like that and clean it up even more. But yeah. Text press is enough. Thank you for taking your time with the course. It really does make me feel like I've been going way too fast on my on and I need to slow down more. Thank you, LiLi. Of course. I mean, this is like you are learning. So like the instructor is like a master with all this stuff already. So like the course is, you know, she's going to kind of simplify and try to make the lesson as quickly as possible. But when you're learning, you should be taking time to absorb and learn things and yeah, take your time to learn essentially. Going quickly is good too, but I'd say like when you're first doing things, it's good to take things slow and really like sink in that information and building blocks. And then once you feel comfortable enough with it, then start maybe pushing yourself to do things timed and maybe get a little faster, and you might get a little messier with it. And then you might see too when you're trying to go faster where, you know, you might take longer to do things, and then those are like the areas where you're like, oh, okay, I need to work on this area, you know, in order to get better because this is what's slowing me down, or this is where my hiccup is when I'm trying to go fast. So there's definitely like a benefit to both sides, but I'd say for sure when you're first starting out with this stuff, definitely take your time and don't feel bad for being slow or taking too long and stuff like that, for sure. Because yeah, the artist will blow through it very quickly, and that's just because one, they're very experienced, and two, because they're trying to make a course and they, you know, want it to be as efficient and quick as possible. So they're probably cutting out parts too from their video. Like they probably take longer to do this stuff, but because they're recording, they can like, you know, fast forward parts, cut out parts that were like too slow and stuff like that. And so on and so forth. So, yeah. Don't feel bad at all. Your pace is the right pace. All right, so that is just kind of the breakdown of the steps too. So yeah, like I know Isham in the course didn't do this step here. But I think it's good to visualize, especially since she went through and talked about how we simplify it into a box. I think starting here is better for first timers, essentially, instead of going right to this. So in my homework, I would assign you guys to practice drawing over figures, or it can be real life too, if you want to practice on actual human models and references and stuff, go for it. The only reason why we suggest anime figures is just because it's going to keep in the anime proportions more for your head heights and stuff like that when you're using a figurine. So it's going to follow more this ruling that we did. Where is it? This stuff, right? Your head heights. So using figurines is going to be using closer to this model than what real life humans will be. And you'll notice that like if you go through and then take like a real life human, you'll notice your heads on your humans are going to be a lot smaller kind of compared to the rest of the body. And that's just because of anime proportions. Anime figures have larger heads for sure. Yeah, and then I think, so she also then goes through, and I am probably not going to be able to do this justice, So in the course, she also explains, and I think this is where once you get more experienced, I think this will come into play. But I can't even, like, what she does in this next step, I can't even do. So I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to translate it to you guys, because I'm not good enough at figure and pose drawing and stuff in order to do this. But how she explains it, I will do my best to show it, is kind of the order of operations. So again, we start by learning anatomy, right? And what those pieces mean, and where the key landmarks and stuff are, proportions, all that stuff. Then you can do like more figure studies and practicing, and finding and applying those landmarks and stuff like that. Then it goes to more of how you take these forms and draw them from scratch without the body, and doing more what is called, I guess, kind of like, it's not gesture drawing, but you're getting closer to gesture drawing at this point of what she's doing. She makes it look really good, and I don't have that practice or skill yet. But usually kind of what she explains here is it's easier to, when you're starting an art piece, it is easier to start, here, I'll try to draw it on, actually, let's do this. I'll try to draw it, this pose as the last one. So she will try to, obviously you don't just jump right into drawing this. Like, just drawing like the actual three-dimensional space without knowing where the pose and the landmarks and stuff is very hard to do. You know, like a skilled artist could do it, but a lot of people are gonna need to do kind of like what's a advanced stickman kind of pose. So you're kind of gonna be drawing this from scratch. So she'll say, like, here that she starts with the head, right? She'll start by drawing a head, and then she'll draw the spine, and she says you think of the spine as like an S, right? Kind of a S curve. So we're imagining like the bottom of our neck, right? This is getting attached, and then for this is the back of the neck. And then for this pose, we have kind of this shape, right? Something like that. And then it's gonna be actually a little bit longer. Something like that. So again, we have like the crotch, and then she says, like, she explains the hips is kind of like a heart at the bottom of this crotch line that she gets as her kind of guideline. So she'll draw like a heart at the bottom, and then she'll draw for the legs. So you're going from the middle of those hearts, and then she'll draw kind of like an L out, and then down for the legs and the hips. Because your hip bones do kind of do this shape. Like there's like a, right? If you look at a hip bone, kind of looks like, right? Like the top of the femur bone is kind of like that shape. So this L is kind of like accounting for that shape. slow. And then again, we draw ankle. And the feet. Right. And then next we have the arms. And I believe, how does she do it? Her model. I think she draws the. Yeah, I think she draws this next. So your collarbone. And then this is like kind of a common thing that people will do too, is like drawing these lines, action lines kind of thing. So we'll draw the collarbones next, and then again we have our shoulder joints that we draw as little dots. And let's draw our torso in here a little bit now. Imagine the rib cage. And then down. And again, we have this kind of upper torso feeling. And then our arms, we're gonna have our elbow over here, and wrist. We're gonna have, oh, I guess, yeah, we'll do the same. Well, I think it's better, well, I guess it doesn't matter. We'll do the same pose. Out. And then we'll have our mitten. Hand mitten. Thumb. Peace sign. Very rough, but we get the idea. So yeah, this is kind of our process for drawing. So again, you're kind of starting with this like advanced stick system and dots, and then you're gonna start filling in the areas afterwards, right? And starting to make it look more like a humanoid. So at this point, we can start kind of fleshing them out a little bit, you know? So butt. curvy and stuff. I'm just starting to make them look more human. By giving them some skin, muscle, flesh on their bodies. Starting to add in those tubular shapes and stuff, right? Well, there you go. There is kind of the step systems that you take, right? And then from this, you can also get into like gesture drawing and line of action and stuff and making an even better looking one. But that's where like my art skills start to wane, and I need practice at that point. But that is essentially kind of your workflow that you kind of take for sketching out and making poses and stuff like that. So, illustration stop and animation starts, I guess. A little bit, I guess. Kind of gesture drawing can get into more animation, because you're more accurately creating like movement and emotion with like line of action poses. Here, I'll show what line of action poses are. And gesture drawing. There's some good ones. I guess this one's just done with stick figures, so it kind of shows line of action in a stick figure form. So like this is kind of like line of action, and what you're doing is you're kind of finding like the flow of the piece with like a singular line, and kind of figuring out what the general like feeling is in that model or shape. And by applying this, it kind of makes it feel more dynamic or interesting to like kind of look at, and not as static or rigid. And you'll do like more interesting poses, and like people that get like really, really good at it will often exaggerate that line and movement that you're feeling. So like that's kind of like, again, like this, you know, like this motion is really exaggerating like the pulling, and you can almost like feel the weight that this person is doing, instead of just like, you know, having a person be pulling it, right? Like this doesn't really super exaggerated, even though they're doing the same thing. You don't get as much feeling from it. It feels a lot more rigid and stiff, as opposed to like following this line of pulling. You can feel the gravity and the weight in that piece, and it just makes it a lot more appealing and more invokes an emotion or action into your brain. Looks like how when you get in the shower without double checking the temperature and the cold water hitting your neck. Wait, the second one? Second pose from the right. On here? Second pose from the right? This one? Heat! Cold! Yeah, like it hits your back. I get what you're saying. Like the water hits your back here. And you're like, cold! For sure, for sure. But yeah, so this is line of action, or gesture drawing, sorry. They're both kind of like the same idea. The line of action, like these in general are gesture drawings, and the red is your line of action, right? So line of action there. Line of action here, right? These are your lines of action. So, those red pieces, they're kind of like hidden in the picture, so I'm just drawing over them so you can see them a little better. So you can see them a little bit better, but yeah, these are your line of actions in the models, is the red. And it's very difficult. Very strong affirmations egg from the couch. Or cold water, either one. But I cannot do gesture drawing. I wish I could, and I'll hopefully get there eventually through practice, but it's something I have always tried to go back and get, but my brain has just not been able to click on it yet, so I'll keep practicing. Oh, from the coach. I get what you mean. Get him. Go get him, Tiger. For sure, for sure. Yeah, so I'm not there yet for line of action and gesture drawing, and I don't think this course will touch on line of action or gesture drawing at all. But there is courses out there if you are interested in it. Highly recommend it, because it will definitely, absolutely make you a better artist. No doubts. Like these strong like silhouettes, in sketching and stuff, it'll give you some like really good poses and stuff like that, and really dynamic stuff. Cause like, where's the? I don't know if there was one better that shows more posing. Ah, this one shows more poses. Instead of like kind of like just sketchy animation blobs, this one is more posing, right? So it helps you find like these super dynamic and like interesting poses, right? To like look at, rather than just like a static person. Like these are very, very like they have more detail and clothing and stuff on them than the other stuff. But you can come up with some like really cool and interesting and dynamic stuff if you are thinking with line of actions and gesture drawing. Trying to see if there's like any other really good ones. And then yeah, line of action and animation is even more fancy. Oh yeah, here's like some here's a good example in like animation. There you go. So like you'll look like in this one, like it feels very like awkward, and you don't get the feeling of the punch, and it feels static and uninteresting, right? Whereas like this with that, it's got that old corny like cartoony like esqueness to it, but you can feel like the punch, right? Like you can feel that energy and motion of like the person going flying and stuff like that, and it's like way more appealing to look at this than it is to look at that, right? Same idea, like this one kind of feels more like awkward and scrungly, whereas this you can feel the wind up in the piece, right? Same idea. Like these lines don't flow together. They have no cohesiveness. Whereas like these, all these rounded U shapes, you know, they fit together very nicely and stuff. So that is gesture drawing and animation, but I have not mastered it myself. So that would be the next step, but we are just starting. So I would say as homework for everybody right now, definitely stick to, it is Tom. Definitely just stick to, I think, finding some figurines from that website. Either, you know, use the Pinterest versions where it's just pictures, and tracing over and finding their lines, or using the 3D model. You can spin it to where you want. So you can pick even just with the 360 one. Like I could pop in another view, right, of this character, and my box is gonna change, right? So like I can copy this now, the same model, right? And I can pop her in and do the same thing with the same model and see the differences in my boxes even, right? So like now my box, right? So if I were to do this box, you know, my box is gonna change. You know, I'm gonna have like you're gonna see more this angle and more of the side of the box, right? So in order by like moving the picture around, you can kind of see visually how those boxes are spinning in 3D as well too. So the 3D spinning one is very, very useful in that sense. So yeah, practice drawing over some different models and characters, and yeah, just really practice learning how to break the human body into more simple shapes. So like I said, start with squares and boxes and stuff like that, and then if you feel like you're comfortable with that, try to maybe round out and do kind of like the more bucket and rounded out rib cage and stuff like that. So start with these, work to these, and then if you get really good in 2 weeks, you can start on these. But that's kind of going to be probably the most effective use of time and stuff like that. And then like, yeah, if you get really good at tracing over, start just putting the image to the side and then using this method of drawing the circle, your dots, and your line of actions and stuff like that, mimicking the pose. So don't be tracing on top anymore, just start doing it from scratch yourself. But for now, work on just finding those shapes, I would say. But yeah. And then I think that's everything. So I actually finished up a little bit early today. Little bit early. I could drawing one more picture as practice myself. Here's a Rosu picture. I love Rosu. Draw a Rosu bun. Doodles until time's up, or practices. Oh, I also need to upload these pictures too, actually. I forgot about that. Let me actually upload these pictures first. That might take me to the end of my time too, but I want to make sure that I don't forget them. Because they are important for you guys. I don't know where to put this. I'll just export it like this. There's a few notes there. They're not super important, but in case you want them. So body, proportions, art 2, number 1, we'll call this. All right. Oh, actually, maybe I'll just put it to this one. I'm gonna export this as one picture. Because it's close enough. Save over. Yes, that is fine. Let's add that picture to the Discord. Right, I gotta find it. This one. All right, there's picture number 1. This for picture number 2. For the hips. Because there's a lot for me to upload today. Hips. It's a big lesson. Once you get into like bodies are very complicated. It's a lot to draw. It can be definitely overwhelming. And then I'll draw my example. So this is the reference. And then we have first iteration, trace, so this is the first iteration tracing, then we have second iteration tracing, and then we have freehand. Drawing. Okay, so we're gonna export that. Three pages from today. Even though I finished up early, we covered through a lot, actually. There it is. There you go. So I have uploaded all those images for you guys in the Discord. Like always, like I always say too, you are more than welcome to free trace over, do whatever you want with my images. If they are helpful for you, I'm happy to provide them as a learning experience. Are crossed arms hard to draw? can be. They can be, but again, you just break things down into the shapes and stuff. So like a lot of times for crossed arms, you'll have, again, like your shoulder, right? And then your wrist. But your wrists are over top of like one another. Be easier if I had a reference. So like the one arm, right, is kind of like over top, and then this one goes down underneath. And again, when you're drawing, use references, right? That kind of makes sense. So it's kind of like that shape in a way. Want me to post the one I'm looking at? No, don't worry about it. I mean, if you want to, but I don't need the reference. I mean, it's close enough. You get the idea, right? Like, so the one hand comes down behind the one hand, and then the other one comes up for a crossed arm look. Just to kind of explain it. So it's a little bit complicated, but again, if you break it down into simple shapes, you know, you can make sense of it, and I believe in you. So using that reference is a great way to kind of visualize and see those shapes, right? So you can do it. Would I do it as my first example? Maybe not. Maybe I'd pick something simpler, standing side to side, arms open. But would I practice it at some point? Absolutely, because guess what? You're gonna be wanting to draw characters with their arms crossed at some point. So you're better to start looking and practicing now, right? A little pain and suffering never hurt. Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for today. Let me save all the work I did because I didn't save it all. Good job, LiLi. Good job. You had a very filled lesson today. Perfect. All right, should we find somebody to raid? Oh, and then I did pin those 2 websites. I did pin those into the Discord as well. So if you go to the pinned sections, it's there kind of with the course materials and whatnot. So you'll find the links for the 2 resources that she gives. Also a go for Blaze. And yeah, there's the Discord. Thank you, GG. Oh, I also can't... Wait, does it go off with my purrs? I'm not sure if it'll purr or not. Let's find out. It's purring! Nya, 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 nya. It's just the cameras that are broken. Pichu broke some stuff in preparation for Camp Foxfire. They kind of broke a few things. But it's okay. Camp Foxfire is gonna be worth every bit of it. All right, I'm gonna head to Twitch and find somebody to raid. All right, oh, and a hydration. Oh, thank you, Blaze. And a stretchy. I need that. Sreerin is doing some art. I haven't gotten to raid them ever, so let's go give them a raid. They're doing some art. With Cherylee, who's also a wonderful VTuber. I know both of these lovely beings. They're just doing a drawing collab. All right. And then, again, I'll just make a note too. If you stayed this long, thank you. Also, Camp Foxfire is coming up soon and next week. We're gonna be doing some more stuff. So again, we won't have art lessons next Tuesday. We're gonna be playing games instead for our Camp Foxfire. But like I said, these proportions and body drawing, I think is a lot to get used to. And I think it's good to have a lot of practice at this point, more so than I think what she takes for time in doing it. So I think it's good that we have a bit of a break in lessons coming up for Camp Foxfire because it'll give us more time to practice. So yeah, just keep that in mind. There'll be no art classes for the next 2 weeks. Just because we'll be doing Camp Foxfire. So yeah, stay tuned for that if you want to see that schedule again. It is also on my Twitter and in the Discord too. Other housekeeping. Today is Tuesday. Tomorrow we have a Discord watch parties. We are finishing up the last 4 episodes. So tomorrow I believe is 4 episodes of Free Run. So it's 1 more than the usual 3. So keep that in mind that it will run a little bit later tomorrow than usual. But yeah, we'll be watching the ending of Free Run tomorrow in the Discord, 6 p.m. Pacific, my usual weekday time. And yeah, then Thursday, I think we're going to be playing some more of that Endling game. And then Sunday, I have a special stream with Con. We're going to be doing some Stardew Valley cookbook baking on Sunday, so I'm excited for that. It's going to be a good one. Get those wiggles. Thank you for the wiggles. And yeah, there's my socials and my VGen there. Thank you to GG for getting those. And I think that's all the housekeeping stuff. Keep up the good work on the art. You guys are doing amazing. You could do it. I believe in you. I know it gets to be a lot, and I struggle too. I struggle to keep going as well, but it helps having you guys here. It's like going to the gym. It could be hard sometimes, but we have gym buddies to force us to keep going to the gym. Well, this is our art gym, okay? And we are here with each other to continue to try to put in the effort and the practice to get better. So we're all doing it, all together in the same boat. Art gym bros. We're getting art swole. buff art. Thank you, Gigi. Gigi just made me a camp schedule for my tweet. Thank you so much, Gigi. I appreciate that. Buff fingers with only the buffest fingers. Thank you for the vibes. Thank you for hanging out with me. Keep at it, warriors. Yes, exactly, Stephanie. Exactly. So, yeah, I think that's everything. Oh, wait, I don't have a command, so we're just gonna go with our regular raid message or raid message 2. Take either one. If you have my sub, you can only use the top one. If you don't have my subs, use the bottom emote there. And then, yeah, we're gonna go give Siren, who's also doing some art with their collab partner today, some love. So thank you again for the love and support. I appreciate it. And I'll see you tomorrow in the Discord or Thursday for games. I hope you have a good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time zone it is for you, Foxfires. I hope it's a good one. If you are off to bed, then sweet dreams. Otherwise, let's go give Siren some good lovin'. Bye-bye.